June 23rd, very, very exciting day for us, Anthony. We're going to have another great show. I'm pretty excited about it. How are you feeling?
How do you know we're going to have a great show?
Because any day I get to work with you means it's going to be a great show. All right. It is so great to be back with you again, Anthony. Man, a lot of crazy stuff is happening. We've been tracking the this COVID surge right now. And speaking of surge, it seems as like Dr. Fauci is saying it is officially another surge issue that we're experiencing.
Well, no, he's concerned. He's concerned. They just announced that he sees a little bit of a surge. And again, it's in the states that decided that their COVID wasn't that big of a deal. And it was the people that didn't get hit the hardest. And so we're seeing it. And like I said to you last week, I think off camera, I'm concerned for the hotel industry because we can't travel when a lot of our states are having these surges. So we'll see what happens. Hopefully we'll get more testing and hopefully we'll take it more seriously. But as I understand it, if you don't test, then you won't find out how many cases you have. So
that's right.
That seems to be what everybody's thinking. Listen, like I said yesterday, we went into a store and somebody said, take your mask off. I mean, I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, well, Florida seems to be pretty hard hit. That's for sure. The numbers have been going up, and I've been really worried about what's going to be happening with these theme park reopenings. I mean, Universal Studios is already open. Disney just opened up their hotels. They're getting planned to open up their theme parks. But news just broke this morning, Anthony, that because of those numbers and new regulations being put in by the state, because these numbers are starting to get out of control, AHO has decided to go virtual this year instead of actually having the event in Orlando in the beginning of August. I'm very disappointed about that.
Yeah, it's not surprising, but it's disappointing because that was supposed to be the moment where we open. And as you can see, the response across America has not been the same. So that's what's causing that. If everything was going the same as New York and the other states that are doing it, because we got hit so hard.
Yep.
I don't want to criticize anyone, but I think AHO would be having their event. And unfortunately, I don't think it's a smart thing for them to have their event based on Dr. Fauci saying the numbers are going up.
Yep. Yeah. Also over at in Las Vegas, we reported a few weeks ago, Anthony, at the Cosmopolitan seemed a little bit out of control with the way that they were handling the COVID situation. Unfortunately, that problem seems to be getting exacerbated now as several staff members have tested positive for COVID. Wow, this show is a lot more depressing than I thought it was going to be.
You know what I said? How do you know you're going to have a good show? What I want to say, and it's got to be said, we have a short-term memory. We've been talking about that. Like Americans and people in general have a short-term memory. Mm-hmm. 3 months ago, there were freezer trucks in hospitals in New York. The Navy ship was coming in. The American Red Cross ship was coming in. Mm-hmm. We were having 10,000, 11,000, 12,000 cases a day. People were dying. Hundreds of people were dying. People that weren't impacted by that, other states didn't think it was a big deal. Now they're getting hit. So now we got to wait. We got to sit down again while they get their crap together so we can all move together. And that's just the way it is. And that's what happens when, in America, we're a free country and you have a right. Like there's a lot of health officials resigning across the country because they're getting so many death threats and you're getting stressed out because they're being attacked. I mean, Dr. Fauci's walking around with security because he's being attacked.
Right. Yeah. Unbelievable. So today, on today's show, we're going to talk a little bit more about that. But we're gonna have a little positivity because the country of Jamaica is reopened for tourism. So we're going to talk to Donovan White, who's with them, all about that. And then after that, we're going to be focused on a little bit about the Hilton College Hospitality Hackathon. They're getting students from all over the world to find solutions to get business back on track post-COVID. That's going to be a pretty cool
conversation. And am I the only person that didn't know what a hackathon was?
Everybody put in your comments that, yes, Anthony, you are the only person who didn't know what a hackathon was. Let's see. Mostly people call me a hack, and that's why I know the word.
So I love Jamaica. Who doesn't love Jamaica, man?
Who doesn't love Jamaica? I love Jamaica. You love Jamaica. I know someone else who likes Jamaica. Donovan White, Director of Tourism, Jamaica Tourism Board. Thank you so much for being here, sir. I love your country.
It's great to be with you guys, Anthony and Glenn. And it's always fun for me to meet new people who tell me they love my Jamaica.
Well, how could you not? I mean, it's
well,
so cool.
It's hard not to.
Yeah.
But I'll say this as well. I'll say this. I also love your country. I went to school in Louisiana, and I lived in New York for a number of years. So
how long did you live in New York?
Sorry?
How long did you live in New York?
I lived in New York for 3.5 years. My family, my brother and sisters, and my mother lives in New York.
Oh wow, cool.
Awesome.
Where in New York?
Sorry?
Where in New York?
I live in Queens. My brother lives in Manhattan.
What part of Queens? Wait, hold on. Forget Jamaica. I want to talk about Jamaica, Queens. Where in Queens did you live?
Jamaica, Queens, actually. On Lakewood.
Of course he does.
That's awesome.
You know why I love Jamaica? I remember being down there and I asked somebody, I said, why are you always happy? Because we appreciate that people love our country and come and decide to spend their tourism dollars with us. It helps our country, it helps our spirit, and we appreciate you and we appreciate tour and travel. There's some countries that don't, and we know who they are. And when they said that to me, I was like, so I guess at a very early age, it's accepted and it's appreciated and it's honored. And it's just such a strong family dynamic down there. I mean, I remember just watching all the school kids go in and out, and I just love Jamaica.
Absolutely happy to hear that. And obviously, we're going to have to work to probably have you guys do one of your famous show here from Jamaica.
Oh, we would love that. All right, producer Jeff is saying I should clarify what.
I'm going to get
He's already gone. He's on his way to JFK right now.
I thought Anthony was on his way to the airport just a bit now.
Yeah,
I could go baseball and hit JFK, so don't say that. I'll be there before lunch.
Right. So just so everybody knows, Jamaica, Queens is just a town within Queens. It's known mostly for I think there's got a lot of great Caribbean food over there, and for the Long Island Railroad, big station over there. So,
you know what's so funny? I just said, as soon as you said that, I said that's got to be a Jeff note, and then I looked at our private producer saying,
well, yeah. Sometimes let me tell you, we forget that there are people outside of New York that may not know what
Jeff doesn't know anything about New York. Everybody else knows about New York.
All right, so we learned why Anthony loves Jamaica. Donovan, let me tell you one of the reasons why I love Jamaica, and then we'll get into what the state of tourism is. One time, about 20 years ago, I was there, and I got the opportunity to go to Port Antonio. Right, beautiful little seaside village. Was that Errol Flynn owned a bunch of property there, right? And he used to hang out there, right? So for all of you who love your swashbuckling early film stars, that's who that was. So one of the best things was it was like a Saturday night party in the town. And I was at a restaurant of some sort where they set up folding tables on the street and roasted the fish that they had just caught right then. It was one of the most coolest, culturally relevant experiences I had ever had up to that point in my life. And it's something I will never forget. And it really made me love your country so much. That and all the other cool things about it.
Well, that's part of the reason why we pride ourselves on being truly authentic, because we want people like yourselves to have that memory for life. And once you've done it, you can't go back. Once you've loved Jamaica, you can't unlove Jamaica. So we pride ourselves, especially our people, and the things we do to ensure that every person who comes to Jamaica has a lasting memory.
I love what you said. Once you love us, you can't unlove us. I love that. So how does one become director of tourism? And when you were in college, was that your goal? Like how did your love of tourism, before we talk about Jamaica, it's open, it's closed, what's going on, I want to know about Donovan White. I want to know why you became, or how you became director of tourism, and when did you start to fall in love with tourism?
Well, it's you go through life, and sometimes you fall in love for varying and different reasons. My career has been primarily in the private sector before entering tourism, and I've worked through finance, telecoms. I spent a lot of time in telecoms, both on the consumer as well as on the B2B side, all in management, all in senior management. So I've had the opportunity to work a lot at the senior level and manage P&Ls and deliver bottom lines. So that's been my focus. My opportunity in tourism was one that I suppose found me at a point in my career where maybe I wanted to have a different experience, do some new and different things, and to challenge myself again. And the opportunity presented itself. Our minister, Honorable Edmund Bartlett, tourism for Jamaica, made me an opportunity, gave me an opportunity. I grabbed it with both hands, and today I'm loving it because I love my country, and I love what tourism allows me to do is to tell the world about how great Jamaica is, but more importantly, to help to chart a new course for the future of tourism in Jamaica, because tourism is today, the largest industry in Jamaica, employing over 350,000 workers, delivering 9.5% of our GDP, 50% of our foreign direct earnings, and also, drive a tremendous amount of linkages throughout other industries across Jamaica. So we're very interconnected into the fabric of the Jamaican people, but more importantly, in the fabric of our economy. And our growth path is going to be largely dependent upon how successful we're able not only to recover from COVID-19, but to thrive after recovering from COVID-19.
I'm so glad I asked that question, because 20 years ago, 25 years ago, you didn't really see people like you in that position. You saw people like coming up through hospitality, through tourism, and not a real business person that has the ability to be accountable to his constituents, to be accountable to his country, but also has the knowledge of P&Ls and business, and also telecommunications, I'd imagine, is huge for being in your position. So it's a testament to Jamaica of really putting someone there that has, a lot of background in business, not just tourism, because you can take a business person and make them director of tourism. You take a person maybe that doesn't have that same background and you put them there because they love tourism, and you have a problem. And your entire country is directly linked to tourism.
Absolutely. And that's the, I suppose that's the hook for me, was to be able to bring a different viewpoint to how we grow this business, how we transition from an age of doing things in a particular way to an age of embracing technology, and to evolve with a new traveling demographic. There's the whole world of travel has exploded over the last 4 or 5 years. The level of people who traverse the world now at the end of 2018 was somewhere in the region of 1.3 trillion.
Yeah.
It is phenomenal. It's a massive business. The growth curve in terms of all the subsectors of the industry is truly on the rise. COVID-19 is obviously a disruption of those growth curves, and I think what it will do is it will harden the perspective on tourism-dependent nations like Jamaica and like the Caribbean. But more importantly, it will force us to fast-track a lot of our technological evolutions, as well as understanding that we have to bring more business thinking and focus to be able to grow this industry and continue to grow this industry through probably the most disruptive force we've had probably since World War II.
Yeah, I would agree with that. But I'd love to see, what is the state of tourism right now? You've recently started to reopen. I'd love for you to share a little bit about what it's like for people coming there, what it's like for the owners and the folks that are working there, and how you're thinking about keeping people safe so tourism numbers could continue to rebound.
And are you open? The first question, are you
yes.
open?
Yeah, well, let's start there. We reopened our borders to visitor traffic or to international traffic on the 15th of June. It's a phased opening. Obviously we are only having flights from certain gateways out of the United States, as well as from Toronto and Canada. Obviously the long haul destinations from Europe and so on would be later on, more in line with the fall period heading into winter. The opening has been one that has been extremely hard fought for. We spent the last 12 weeks in lockdown pretty much working night and day to develop, first of all, understand this virus and understand how to mitigate and how to begin to live with COVID-19. COVID-19 is going to be part of our existence for some time into the future until there's a vaccine that we are able to inoculate the world against COVID-19. Until that time happens, there are going to be risks, but we have to begin to understand how do we manage and mitigate those risks in a way that allows us to continue to live and to enjoy some kind of economic activity. Because if we don't do that, we are going to be in a position where people are going to struggle, employment is going to struggle, and the economy struggles when people and economy struggles. And so from that perspective, what we've had to do is to develop a set of protocols that allows for us to provide a level of safety, first and foremost, to every Jamaican. Because if we can't protect our Jamaican people, then we can't let visitors in. Mm-hmm. It's as simple as that. And so that's step one. So we did that. We brought in the consultative help of PricewaterhouseCoopers, along with all of our industry partners, both private and public, as well as our health ministry, in terms of just ensuring that we align whatever we are doing with the science of COVID-19 and how to mitigate against those. Then we had to take the step of obviously, training every worker across the industry to be able to implement and work alongside these protocols. And we spent a lot of time with that. We have today roughly about 170,000 workers who directly are employed to tourism or tourism entities. And then there's another 140,000 workers who are indirectly employed to tourism, which means that they work within the linkages space of tourism.
Right, like they might be a company that provides food for one of the mega resorts.
So agriculture, manufacturing, banking,
So about 15% of people, 15-20% of all Jamaicans work directly in tourism. Would you say that's correct?
It's about 10%. It's about 10% of the total workforce works.
Oh, I would have thought it was that's higher.
But that's high. That's outside of the public sector. That's probably the second highest employer of manpower in our economy. So that then makes it or pits it at the center of any economic recovery, because where you have the largest amount of unemployment is where you're going to have the largest amount of problems. Not only that, but that same industry delivers for Jamaica 50% of our foreign exchange earnings, 9.5% of our GDP directly. When you add the indirect and the induced GDP contribution, it brings it up to about a third of our GDP. So we are heavily tourism dependent. And so for us to be able to put these protocols in place, to put people back to work, and then now we had to then think about how do we provide that kind of safety and a level of responsibility to visitors who still had the appetite to travel. And so we started that process by reviewing how people get to Jamaica. And so we developed, while we were in lockdown, we developed a platform for the repatriation of Jamaicans who were stuck overseas. Mm-hmm. And that meant that we had to do that with technology. It meant that we needed to have some kind of medical profile on each person coming back, because our health ministry adopted a risk management methodology to COVID-19, which meant that it all that means is really that we were focused on identifying where the virus is or where the risk of the virus could be, locking those areas down, containing it, and mitigating, managing it so that we flatten the curve of any spread of the virus. What we've done is to take that same methodology and apply it to reopening our borders.
Right.
So what we now do is we've created a platform. We have visitjamaica.com as our visitor site. So we've added to that site a travel authorization platform where everyone coming to Jamaica, whether you're a Jamaican or you're a visitor, must go to visitjamaica.com and complete our pre-screening, if you will, or pre-authorization of landing in Jamaica application. Takes about 5 minutes. If you are technology in tune, it probably take you 3.5 minutes to complete. And
what if you're my mom, then it'll never get done.
I'm sure she'll probably do it in about 6 minutes, maybe a minute longer than I would.
All right. Thanks for your confidence in mom.
But essentially what we've been able to do is to use that platform to get some understanding of persons wanting to come to Jamaica, what's been their medical history and their exposure to COVID-19. And it also, then we joined onto that our immigration platform and our customs platform, so that once you've completed that exercise, what we've done is we can now, within 72 hours of you arriving, we already have your information. So when you get in, the process of moving you through becomes a little bit easier, but it also enabled us to make space to do the eyeball health screening with our health officials and to do a mandatory test, a PCR nose swab test on arrival for all persons coming from a high-risk destination.
So go back to that test again. It's a nose swab test?
It's a nose swab. It's a PCR test, yes.
Okay, so how's that work?
It has worked very well so far. It's been the only testing methodology that our health ministry has used throughout COVID-19.
But what's the procedure? What happens?
The procedure is that they insert a swab in your nostril, and they take a sample at the back of your nostril and through your throat.
Oh, so they do through your nostril.
They do through that. Yes, a nose swab.
They didn't do that. Okay.
Yeah. So it's again, we're focused on identifying where the virus is and not necessarily antibodies, because most of the rapid test methodology are designed for antibody testing, whilst our health officials were more interested in understanding who has the virus,
right,
so that we can contain them and contain any spread thereto of the virus in Jamaica. So that method of really just applying a set of principles that are focused on containment and mitigation is what we've deployed, and is what we've placed our confidence in having this phased opening. Obviously, we'll continue to review its progress, its successes. Where there are failures, we will have to address those and try to fix those as rapidly as we can.
Just to be clear, if I come from America to go to Jamaica, I'm taking the test.
You will be tested, that's for sure.
Every single person's tested.
Once you're coming from a high-risk country, because I keep saying that because Jamaica's also established what is called a travel bubble, right, with countries that are considered to be low risk. So at the moment,
the United States is considered high risk.
You are,
correct?
You are.
So you would test me, and how long would it take to get the test back?
Between 24 to 48 hours.
So am I allowed to go to my destination?
You are allowed to go to your hotel. You are required to remain in place in your hotel until your test results is known. It's interesting you've asked that, because I also want to talk a little bit about the corridor that we've established within the destination where visitors are allowed to be. So we haven't opened the entire Jamaica to visitors yet.
Right.
Again, because we are risk managing. So we've created what is called a resilient corridor between Negril, which is in the western end of Jamaica along the northern coast, all along the northern coast to the eastern end of Jamaica in Port Antonio, which is where our friend Glenn has been.
Yeah.
Right.
Go have some roasted fish.
Absolutely. But all along that northern coast we've established a corridor, and only within these 2 weeks that we're doing phase one of the opening, the only tourism entities that are open along that corridor are accommodation entities. So we ask that our guests coming in, that we try to explain that we've made that known publicly, so that the expectations are managed, that you're not going to be able to come into Jamaica, right, and just jump on a tour bus and go all over the country, right, because we're not fully open for that kind of excursion yet.
But one of the things about Jamaica is that you've been very focused on having those mega resorts, the all-inclusive resorts. So for the vast majority of people, they're probably pretty cool with just going and staying in a single place anyway, because that was probably the point of their trip.
It is likely to be. There have been, queries by persons who arrive who want to do some exploring, but that's just not available yet. And people understand.
Well, yeah, I want to go see Bob Marley's house. I want to go do a few other things, of course. Yeah.
What kind of measurements are you making the resorts go through? What kind of restrictions are they under?
Interesting.
The restrictions are that they have the responsibility of all of their guests, first and foremost, to ensure that they provide a safe environment for all their guests. Part of the protocols require that they provide isolation rooms, trained COVID specialists in terms of nurses and doctors, whether on site or on call, and that they have an established communication line with the public health authority, so that if there is a positive test return, there's a communication cadence between the hoteliers as well as right down to the public health facilities, so that those persons can have the care they need if they are symptomatic and they require care. If they're asymptomatic and they just need to be isolated away from the rest of the population of the property, that they're able to do that fairly rapidly and manage that accordingly. And where they require additional assistance, that they can engage that assistance through our public health teams. So we've all of those kinds of hierarchical structures was all part of the development of our protocols to ensure that we can do this not only safely, but we can do it responsibly to ensure the safety of not just the visitors while they're here, but also every Jamaican who have to interface with each of those visitors.
So apparently we're going to see you next week because our friend Billy is inviting us and paying us.
Next May.
He's going to pay a full trip for our families to come to the grill. And I appreciate that, Billy. It's very nice of you.
Thanks, Billy.
You can send us a prepaid credit card right now. We'll book our own flight. Thank you. But,
that sounds like a great plan. And just take your microphones with you. We'll provide you.
I love it.
You know what's interesting? And what I like what I'm hearing, and I think everybody that was thinking about going to Jamaica would want to hear, is it's trust and confidence, right?
It is.
Everything is about trust and confidence. Yes. If my daughter right now says she wants to go to Jamaica, I'd probably let her go, based on what you just said. Probably not that right now, but probably in a week.
Yeah.
Like, because what I like, and again, that's one of the reasons I'm glad we asked about what your background is. You're treating this like a business, because what I'm hearing is your economy, like every other country's economy, is really on a tightrope. And if you get this wrong, this will last for 10 years.
Exactly.
Your economy may even collapse, right? Because you're such a small country with such a major part of your dollars coming from tourism. So everything that I'm hearing you say is you're very calm, you're very obviously intelligent, articulate, but you're very thoughtful and understanding. We get this wrong, and we're giving this problem to our children. And that's
exactly.
And it sounds to me, Donovan, that this didn't just come out of nowhere. I feel like you engaged a lot of the owners and operators on the island to kind of work together to find out a plan that would be good for the long-term benefit of the economy.
Yeah, and I must say, because one of the things that our honorable minister did at the beginning of this pandemic is to quickly set in train a tourism recovery task force. And that included a number of our tourism stakeholders, but also our private sector stakeholders, some public sector stakeholders. And we engaged everybody. We engaged the unions to ensure that we thought about the workers. We engaged the linkages network of the private sector to understand what are their challenges and how they are impacted by COVID-19, specifically as a result of the lockdown of tourism, which is our major fuel to the economy. And then we had to also engage the public and understand what was their understanding and their temperature around our ability to develop these types of protocols that will allow us to restart the economy and bring jobs back into the economy and to the people of the country. Now, having done that, it enabled us to just have a very broad view of all the issues. so that in trying to reopen, you're not just reopen in isolation of what the rest of the society thinks. And to be fair, there are persons within the society who are far more conservative and believe that we shouldn't be open now.
Right, of course.
And that's understandable. But also, there are more people in the economy who their livelihoods completely depend on their ability to go back to work. And if tourism is going to be that catalyst to not only bring people back to work in the tourism industry, but bring people back to work in other industries that serve tourism, then it stood to reason that we had to find that happy medium that allowed us to go against the conservative view, but at the same time do it in a very responsible way that allowed us to bring reason and rhyme and reason to the decision to do it. And then we had to live it, and we still are living it, because every day, there are challenges that are presented that we have to come back to the drawing board, break them down, and then develop new solutions for them to mitigate against them happening again. And so it's a daily chore to look at what happened yesterday and identify the challenges are and try to put things in place to mitigate against them. So it's an ongoing affair every single day.
And the people that say we shouldn't open, we have to open carefully, because if we don't, poverty kills, and poverty can kill just as many people as coronavirus. That doesn't mean you just go and you don't pay attention, and you don't pay attention to, here in this country, the CDC. So if you're walking down the street and you're either a tourist or you live there and you're not wearing a mask, what happens?
Well, the wearing of a mask is mandatory in Jamaica now. Once you're in a public space, there's no excuse for it. You can be warned for it by the security forces, because it's part of the law. And what happens in a disaster management risk management act is that the prime minister and the cabinet of the country determines what the new orders are every 2 weeks in terms of what changes or what is added. And part of the order includes that once you're in a public space, you must wear a mask, which means that if you're not, you can be asked to put your mask on. In fact, I've seen where I went to a pharmacy in the last week or so. I came out of my car, forgot my mask in the car, and they wouldn't let me into the pharmacy. I had to go back to the car, put my mask on, and get my hands sanitized before I could enter the pharmacy.
But you would
that
say
kind of regiment that is in place.
But you would say that most people, like if you're walking down the street without a mask, someone's going to look at you crooked, right? And say, hey, why don't you put your mask on?
Exactly.
Yeah,
Sensitivity on it.
Here, what's happening, it's because a lot of states, there's 50 states, and a lot of states aren't, didn't get hit so hard. So now those states are getting hit really, really hard. And like now New York is doing much better, but people aren't wearing masks. And like I said the other day, a friend of mine, a shop owner, said, take your mask off. Literally said, take your mask off. Because I want to see your face. It was absolutely ridiculous. Nobody in the store was wearing masks, and she was very upset that anybody would wear a mask. And she pointed, unfortunately, to people in government that aren't wearing masks, and they don't think, it's that critical of a problem. Yeah. And so again, you're making me feel much safer that maybe my first trip is going to be to Jamaica.
Yeah, I'm really loving it too. And I could tell he's.
I love that you're getting me tested. I love that you're testing me.
Right.
Yeah. The sacrifice is about risk and reward. It really is. And
people I know want to be tested. I want to be tested. I want to go to your country and I want to be tested, because I know if you're testing me, you're testing the guy next to me.
Right. What I'm getting out of this conversation, Donovan, is that you're all about your society and finding a pathway forward that's going to balance economic needs with health and safety protocols. I feel like for us here in the United States, it's really come down to more about what the individual feels that they deserve, as opposed to respecting others, and how we could all get through this crisis together so we could reach a better place in the future. And I really love that you've got everybody involved from the different sectors that have helped create this, and you're looking forward. But you've got it pretty under control. I think before we went on air, you said you only had 4 new cases yesterday. What's the stat with that in terms of your curve on how things have gone?
Right. So we are today at a total of 665 cases. We have a population of 2.85 million people. We've had a total of 10 deaths related to COVID-19. We've had a 78% recovery rate. So that means about 516 persons of the 665 persons have already fully recovered. And to fully recover, to be classified as fully recovered, you would have had to be in isolation and had 2 consecutive negative tests in a 24 hours time span.
Awesome.
So we've had really great success with recoveries. We've managed to flatten our curve in terms of new cases, and we've also managed to really build confidence in our society in terms of understanding the precautions that are required, understanding that we're not out of the woods. COVID is still part of our being. And this is why we're trying to learn to live with COVID, because like I said before, until there is a vaccine, nobody is immune from this virus, and it's extremely contagious. If you don't follow the basic protocols, good hand hygiene, wear your face mask, keep your hands out your face, and try to, educate the next person when you can. If you see somebody doing something, that personal responsibility of knowing that I have to participate in this process. I can't just do it because I know to do it, and see somebody doing something wrong and don't say something. And I know that's hard. That's hard to do in a bigger society like yours,
right?
Because people are so different, and just their temperament and their ability to listen sometimes is not the same.
Well, you're very polite.
You lived in New York. You can get 2 people to agree on agreeing or disagreeing. I couldn't get 2 people to agree on disagreeing. So
you're correct.
Can I vote for you for Prime Minister of Jamaica? Am I allowed to vote?
No, I think we have a really good prime minister, and he let me tell you, he has probably been one of the hardest working public officials I've come across in this pandemic. He doesn't stop. He pushes his cabinet. He pushes all of us who work in the public sector to challenges us to come up with ideas through the various ministries to provide him with information. He's an information guy. He's a technology guy. He and I kind of see eye to eye on technology issues, if you will. Because he wants the best for Jamaica, and he wants Jamaica to be at the forefront of the countries that come out of this pandemic in having done it in a successful way. And you have to support that, in any society, when you have a leader who is leading from the front and has his hand in the mud with everyone else trying to just work through it. That's the kind of support you need from leadership in situations like these.
Excellent. All right. So before we wrap up, Donovan, how can we get to Jamaica? What's the you said you're leaving, there are flights going from certain cities. Yeah. What cities are those? How can we find more about Jamaica if we all want to plan this vacation that we keep talking about?
Well, first things first, you should sketch on your piece of paper in front of you, www.visitjamaica.com. For all things visiting Jamaica exists on that platform, and we're continuing to expand that and to provide more information there. It's also where you go to get your travel authorization to travel to Jamaica. Today, there are American Airlines are probably doing the lion's share of trips to Jamaica. Currently, they're flying from Miami. They're flying from North Carolina. And they're flying, which is Charlotte, and they're flying from Dallas.
Right.
We have Delta. There you go.
Right there, pops right up on the home screen.
There you go.
I'm glad you said Delta, because now we're talking my language.
Where did you just show? What did you just show?
Get a travel.
Visit Jamaica.com.
Visit Jamaica.com. First thing that pops up. Applies to yours here.
There you go. Delta flies from Atlanta. JetBlue flies from New York.
Excellent.
And we have the Southwest coming back on board in early August. United Airlines come back on board in July. So all the major airlines that fly from the US into Jamaica are committed to continue flying to Jamaica. Air Canada flies out of Toronto, of course. And we what we're looking to do. Oh, and I didn't mention Spirit as well is flying from Orlando and
Sorry, you don't have to mention Spirit. Just kidding.
Listen, we cater to all types of travelers.
Excellent.
And that's been the success of Jamaica's tourism, actually, is our interconnectivity. Jamaica is probably the most air-connected destination in the Caribbean, and we pride ourselves on that in the partnerships that we've been able to build with
the success of Jamaica all these years, not only now, is the pride of the people. Period. End of story. It's like I've traveled, like Glenn, I've traveled to over 50 countries. I've traveled all over the world, and there's a pride of being from Jamaica that I've never seen in any other country. And so what's made you successful is that pride, because again, you know you're handing this country to your grandchildren, to your children, that like, and it's almost like the pride of a sports team, right? Like the only time I really see pride is when people are wearing their sports, their sports shirts, and they're at a game, and they'll bleed and die for their sports teams. That's the spirit of Jamaica, that everyone is playing the same sport and everybody's on the same team.
I'm glad you brought that out, Anthony. I really appreciate you saying that, because we've built this product, this tourism product, on, first and foremost, you're right, on the pride of our people and the value that they bring, the intangible value that they bring to making this product world class. That friendly smile, that hello that says how you do, or Ira man, is Ira is a word that is a Jamaican word that nobody else knows what it means. But for us, when a Jamaican says Ira, we're saying you're good, and that's the kind of energy that comes from our tourism product. Added to that is our natural heritage, our music, which has Jamaica's delivered some 6 or 7 different genres of music to the world that has been morphed and fused into other music forms over the last 50 years. Or heritage sites.
Do you have any famous people from Jamaica that are musicians? No.
I think you could think of one. His name is Bob Marley.
I never heard of him.
You never heard of him, right? Yeah. Man of the century. But there's just so much about our heritage that is rich. It's pure. It's authentic. You cannot be in Jamaica and not have an authentic experience. Whereas, because everything you get in Jamaica is Jamaican. The food you get is Jamaican. The people are Jamaican. The places you go are Jamaican. The experiences you have are Jamaican. They're not fabricated. They're not made up. They're not made of something else. They're made all of Jamaica. And so that's the difference to the product, to the tourism product. And that's why we have a 42% return visitor rate.
Wow.
In other words, for every 2 visitors you see in Jamaica, one of them has been here at least once before.
Wow, that's incredible.
And that's something that we pride ourselves on and that we market every single day.
Now I'm thinking wistfully about Jamaican beef patties. All right. Donovan White, thank you so much for being here today. Go to visitjamaica.com. We got it scrolling right down there. Take that test, get access to the country. Go spend some money over there and take yourself a little break.
And Donovan, in private chat, give me your cell number, because I'm calling you when I'm coming to Jamaica. I want a tour.
You listen. Send me your contact, or you get my contact from a producer.
Well, I just sent you my cell number.
All right. So Donovan, we'll get a tour, but only to areas within the official tourist corridor. We don't want to break any. We don't want to break any rules. Thank you so much for being here. I appreciate it.
Thank you. It's a pleasure.
And oh man, let's get together and feel all right. That's kind
dude, hold on. You got to give me 30 seconds, bro.
I'm just doing Bob Marley.
What kind of fresh air was that?
That was awesome. That was really
We
awesome.
need some of that, don't we?
We do need some more of that. By the way, while we're talking, check out the documentary Marley, which was released in 2012. Freaking awesome documentary about Bob Marley there.
I want to be able to get up in the morning and I want to hear that guy talk and tell me everything's going to be all right.
Yeah.
What was the word he used?
Another Bob Marley quote right there. Good job.
What was the word he used?
Which one?
For Jamaicans, when he said everything's going to be, you're good.
I totally blanked out on that.
Right.
Sorry.
All right. It's probably better than that.
Right.
Wait, Donovan's there.
All right.
Ari. How do you say it? Wait, bring him back on. I want to know how to say it. Bring him back on.
All right, hold on. We're bringing him back. Donovan, hold on. Sorry, next guest.
How do you say it, Donovan?
Having way too much fun.
How do you say
Irie.
it?
Don't ever
Irie.
say that again, guys.
Irie.
That was so bad.
Irie.
Come on, say
Irie.
it.
Irie.
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 Irie. Irie. Irie.
Irie.
Irie.
Irie.
Irie.
Irie.
Irie Naman.
Oh,
All right. Irie. Donovan, I swear to God, I want you to tell everybody in America that it's going to be Irie.
There you got it. You got it right there.
All right, Donovan, we'll work on that. We'll see you in Jamaica.
Thanks, guys.
Jeff,
as if I'm not busy enough, I'm going to edit that over and over and over again and just loop you saying that word.
All right, let's get on to our next guest. All right, let's talk to Dr. Dennis Reynolds of University of Houston and Hilton College, and Arlene Ramirez, who's got the world's longest title. Hold on, I got to bring that up because I can't be expected to remember something so long off the top of my head. Sorry, it's taking so long because I have to keep scrolling and scrolling and scrolling. Arlene Ramirez, Executive Director, HC3 and Instructional Assistant Professor, Conrad N. Hilton College of Hotel and Restaurant Management at the University of Houston. And of course, Dr. Dennis Reynolds is the Dean over there. Guys, you guys are putting together something so cool. I heard this. I heard all about this from my Adapters partner, Sean Worker. We're putting together a series of monographs. He said that this came to his attention, and I absolutely had to make sure that Anthony and I covered this. So we're talking about the Hilton College Hospitality Hackathon. Arlene, maybe you can tell us a little bit about what that is, and then we'll get to Dean Reynolds.
Yeah, well, we're having a faculty meeting, and Dean Reynolds is really quite open to letting us pretty much do what we want within reason. And we talked about, there's so much going on, and a lot of students have lost their jobs, internships, all of this. When the pandemic started, we had a great future, and then of course everything came to a stop. Mm-hmm. So we were talking about how we could help the industry and show off the students and all of the talents they have, because in the classes, as we were moving to the online format, many of them were coming up with great ideas, were wanting to have discussions, and it was a great classroom environment. Unfortunately, it's a bad environment, but it was great to discuss what things we could do moving forward. So the thought came about, why don't we do some type of competition where we can maybe highlight the ideas the students have, not just only our students, but students from around the world, because this is obviously a global issue. So we were chatting about this, and I reached out to Sean to kind of get some feedback from him and perspective, and it just became this really cool hackathon idea. And we have quite a few universities already organized. Some have even collaborated with other schools if their schools are too small. And with Sean's support and HFTP, Hospitality, Financial, and Technology Professionals, they chimed in with some money, which we didn't even ask them for. And they're helping us promote this. And we're going to just get these ideas. And, sometimes the most obvious things don't seem obvious to us because we're always focused. We're seeing things from a different perspective. Students, some of them don't have the same level of experience. So sometimes they find the easiest solutions that can be applied. So the hackathon is, we want solutions that are, nothing's out of the question, but it has to be something that doesn't require a lot of capital investment and that can be implemented relatively quickly.
I love that. And the whole idea of a hackathon, for those of you who don't know what it is, it's kind of like the Board Collective, except less evil. The whole notion is bringing everybody together to kind of brainstorm great ideas and use the group thinking in order to create new ideas. And Arlene, I love what you're saying, because sometimes things that are so obvious to the students, we don't see it all because we've become blind to some of those things. So Dean Reynolds, tell me a little bit about what your perspective of this is and how amazing it is to have places like your school, Florida International, George Brown College, NYU, University of Central Florida, Massachusetts, Nebraska, Carolina. Then we go into the EMEA, and there's a bunch of places there. Man, you're getting so many people here. Tell us a little bit about this from your perspective.
Well, thanks, Glenn. Thanks for having us today. We're pretty excited And all those programs you listed, they're all fantastic.
Yep.
But I just want you to know we're the only independent hospitality college on that list. So just a quick plug.
Well, that's important to know. You deserve to get the plugging because you're the ones who created this. So,
There you go. I appreciate it. And Professor Ramirez is being way too modest because at the faculty meeting, somehow the good idea store just magically opened and Arlene just jumped in. It's like, well, we could do this and we could do that. And then the things like the QR codes at restaurants, so you don't have to have a printed menu. I mean, what a basic idea. I would have never thought of it.
Right.
That's kind of the impetus behind this. And it's just been amazing. We launched June 1st, and the response globally has just been huge. And what we realized, and I didn't know ahead of time, is that the students are dying for something to do. Most of them are out of work. School's out, or they're taking online classes for summer. So they are just eager to jump on this. And the fact is, and as Professor Ramirez said, with HFTP support, there's a financial prize. So you're going to start your new academic year with cash in your pocket. And it's all being distributed by HFTP. So it's not scholarship, it's actually cash, which is, we've found a pretty good incentive for students to get involved. And the ideas are just, some are outrageous, but I think the most telling thing is we're getting calls from companies now asking for kind of inroads of how do we find out what the students are submitting. And it's great to say, hey, we're going to share it all. It's all going to be on social media. Our top 3 teams, it's free because what we really want to do at the end of the day is to help the industry. What can we do to help hotels, restaurants, casinos, cruise ships that's student driven and that's operational, that's not capital intensive, that people can do right now. And that's really exciting, especially from a student perspective.
So if you can explain, all right, I'm a student and I want to get involved,
and you still can.
What do I have to do? How long does it have to be? What are the qualifications or the restrictions of the project? When are we going to find out who wins, and what day they could be back on our show?
Great. Like, cut right to it. I like it.
Yeah, we're gonna bring on the winners after it's announced with you guys. Let's do that.
Awesome.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And I'd like to be a judge, by the way, if you have any room for judge.
Oh, excellent. We'll get you on. I have your cell number now, so I'll call you.
Okay.
And I'll get your information.
Please.
Well, if you're a student and you want to get involved, all we're requiring is that you have at least 3 people on your team, maximum of 5. And we ask that you have a faculty or someone at your university that is sort of a sponsor. And that's more for you to get recognition from your school and for your school to know what's going on. So that's the first step. Go to our website, which is at the University of Houston Hilton College, HC3. If you just Google HC3, Conrad Hilton College, you'll find that. And I've provided the link, so hopefully you guys can put that up on as well so that people can go to it. We've done a lot of social media on LinkedIn, all of that, so you can find out about it that way. The first step is a 90-second pitch, which you have to register your team by the end of this month, June 30th, but your pitch is actually not due until July 17th. And we provide a Dropbox for you to get in there. And then what we'll do is the judges will receive a grading sheet along with the link to all of the videos. So they'll rank them, and then we'll pick the top 10 for graduate and undergraduate. Right now, we're in big need for graduate students, have not really applied as much as undergraduate students. So if you have a graduate, that's PhDs or anyone getting a master's degree, they're more than welcome to participate. We will then judge those, and the top 10 will have time to work on their hacks and perfect them for a 3-minute presentation that will happen, and that one's due August 6th. So that week of August 3rd through August 6th, we're hoping to have speakers to help the students sort of put their ideas together in a more concise and more way to grab the audience. So they're learning as well as being able to interact with industry. So this is, I think, a great way for them to showcase themselves, because not everyone is going to do this. And if you can be out there and you can show what you have, a lot of these, as Dean Reynolds mentioned, a lot of companies are wanting to know how they can participate. So if anyone does want to participate, maybe they can mentor the winners afterwards. Once we announce the winners, or if they're interested in any of the hacks, they can always reach out to the students after the competition and maybe do some one-on-one mentoring. A lot of them have been very open to doing that once the competition is over.
It's so important right now to get kids involved. Like you said, I talk about it all the time. I have 3 college kids, and they're always looking for something to do. So that's really, really important. And also, people that are going through this, bringing major companies or hotels through this, they're tired, and they need creativity, and they want to beat their competition. They want to have that little nugget that their competition doesn't have. So they want to know what's out there. So I think it's a perfect opportunity. And also, we just had another application for a judge. His name's Glenn Houseman. He'd like to be a judge as well. It's not Glenn Houseman with 1 S. It's Glenn Houseman with 2 S's. So don't get the wrong Glenn.
Right,
Houseman
and 2 N's in Glenn. Let's not
That's
forget
right.
that.
So if there's an opportunity, Glenn Houseman would like to also participate as a judge.
Well, I think this is a really just such a super fantastic idea, not just to engage people, but to really bring new ideas to the table. I think it's fun. It's interesting. How much effort do you think is really involved for each of these teams that they have to put in to make this happen? Is this a 5-hour project, a 50-hour project? Something that they could just put in as much time and effort into? How do you see it?
As much time as it takes to win.
Right.
There you go. Yeah, good, Anthony. I think it's all predicated on the idea, how complex the idea is. But because we're requiring a 90-second video, what we're finding is the students can bang out these videos so nicely, and they're so professional. It doesn't take the time. I mean, if I was going to do it, we're talking a week-long project.
Right.
For the students, and the projects we've done this past few months with student engagement, it's been fantastic. We asked for one for the hackathon. We put the calling out to the students on Thursday, and by Sunday night, we had a professional video ready to go.
Wow.
That's the kind of thing. It speaks to their generation, and they're good at it. And even the 3-minute video, their final submission, is not really time intensive. As long as they can encapsulate what the idea is, what is the concept. And I think the key for the students would be to, make sure it's clear, because we see with students, they do, 90 seconds for the intro, and then, we're out of time.
Right.
So we want to get them, get to the point, sell us. And really for the students, because now companies are going to see their idea, this is entree into a job. This is something they can market themselves. So it's not just the cash bonus they get. This is their future. Right. Which is quite an incentive.
And it also hopefully teaches them something that, was I lazy through these 3 months? Was I intense? Was I creative? Because like I say, tell every young kid, everybody, if you're lazy, you're in trouble. If you were lazy before, you were in trouble. But if you're lazy now, you're screwed. Because this country is, we have some economic turmoil headed our way in the next 12 to 24 months. And the only way right now is for a weed to grow through concrete. And if you're not a weed growing through concrete, you got a problem. So this will hopefully inspire people to understand you do a little bit more, you'll go a lot further. A colonel once said that to me, and it was the truest things ever said. Do a little bit more.
Right.
You'll go a lot further.
Yeah.
But doing any less than you did before COVID, you're in trouble.
Yeah, we talk a lot about paying attention to those details, because that's really what matters, in particular in the hospitality industry, because everyone has done so well out there that you need to really focus on those little fine points in order to take it over the top and be memorable for the guests, be memorable for your boss, and make progress in your career. I'm wondering, Arlene, we're talking about new media here, having video presentations and stuff like that. How does COVID inform you in the way that you think you might want to educate students in the future, maybe utilizing some of these new tools that we've been forced to utilize over these last few months?
Well, honestly, I've been using a lot of these tools before COVID, just because I like to, if you can't break it, I'll try it, worst case, I can always try to fix it. But I think engaging students today, you have to be able to find new and interesting ways. So even before COVID, I was using Zoom, or they were putting me on their, WhatsApp or GroupMe, and I would, contact them. So I'm not really afraid of technology. So I would try pretty much anything. And because our students, a lot of them, well, most of them all have to work part of the curriculum, their hours are very odd. So traditional office hours that you would have at the college where you wait for them to show up, I used to call them sat hours because no one came. But when I started doing them via Zoom or connecting via online, then my office hours and participation was higher because I worked with their schedule. and tried to make it open for them. So a lot of our faculty have been using these types of tools for a while now, and we've actually didn't have a very bad transition from going face-to-face to online. Our students pretty much reviewed us pretty well, saying that we didn't really miss a beat. So I think just the environment in our college and being accepting of technology and having the resources and looking into different ways to communicate is great.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things that we did tell the students is that, you know, when they do put this video together, that don't talk to a PowerPoint, but be creative. If you want to sing your proposal, sing it. We don't really care, because this is your way to communicate. And one of the things that we find is that we have great students. Sometimes they're not very good at communicating. So this is great, because it's going to show, and for some people that have great ideas, that a great idea is not great until you can get people to understand it and get your point across. So,
that's right.
Yeah, been bad overall.
I got a question, and producer Jeff, I think you have the PowerPoint. Speaking of PowerPoints that we were provided with, so we could learn a little more about it. But while we're pulling that up, Dean Reynolds, question for you: what was the reaction from other deans to the project, and how has the industry been responding?
Oh, well, great question. And actually, we formed a consortium right when the pandemic hit, of all the deans and directors from the top hospitality programs in the country. And then we did, a few weeks of that. And then it came time to, okay, who wants to kind of host one of the meetings? So it just so happened that it was the day before we launched the hackathon, and the response was just fantastic. Of how can we get more involved? How can we get our students involved? Because it's not really a competition among hospitality programs. It's tying all the students together. All ships rise. And I think that's going to be, and it's good attention marketing for a program that wins this, regardless of where they are on the planet. So I think that's part one. Part two is, what we found is, we've got a little Hilton hotel in our college, and about 75 or 70% of our staff is comprised of students. So for our students witnessing a 10% occupancy, it's pretty obvious that this is not good. But for them to then witness that as an employee in our hotel, and then to be able to find a solution for that and to share that with other students, it's just phenomenal, because they've got a different perspective. And we find that from students all over the planet. If you're in the Middle East, the problems are going to be the same, different based on the setting, but same problem. So it gives the students the chance. One of the first emails we received was, can we work with other programs? Absolutely. We're about collaboration. And I think that's a huge, huge win for us.
All right, let's bring up that schedule one more time for people wanting to get involved and collaborate. Next slide, Jeff, please, sir. All right, so June 1 through 30th, we're still in that range, so you can register for it. Applicants will be notified of their acceptance by July 3rd. The pitch is due by July 17th. Then we got the finalists, and then the actual competition takes place. Then you get to provide a final 3-minute digital presentation. Then you win the competition, and then the week after that, you come back on with us. How's that sound?
It sounds fantastic.
Excellent. All right, so we got a lot of schools already registered. Jeff, could you please go to slide 7 so we could give people an idea of what the ideal hack would be? Slide 7, the ideal hack.
And in addition to being on your show, which is awesome, HFTP is also going to do a meetup for the students. So they have these hangouts a couple times a week. So they'll be devoted to the students who win the hackathon. So they'll get exposure that way too. So we think that in itself is a huge prize, just being able to be out there and have their names recognized and their ideas recognized. So
and if you'd like to, the winner, I'll give them an hour consultation. We can Zoom together, and I can kind of go through it with them, and I can just spend an hour with them, and maybe they can use my Rolodex for some jobs, and I can help them out.
Oh, that would be amazing. Awesome.
Yeah, that is very cool. Thank you.
Between me and Glenn, we know some people.
I know Donovan White of the Jamaica Tourism Board. That's about
He's absolutely Donovan White is my new favorite human.
The rest of us say thanks for that one.
You're welcome.
All right,
what was the
Jeff,
word
can we see
again?
the next slide? What was that, Arlene?
What was the word again?
Irie.
Irene.
Mon, you have to say Mon after it, remember?
Mon. Yeah, Mon. All right. I can't handle it. All right. Any final thoughts before we let all of you folks go on with your day?
No, this has been fantastic. Thanks for the opportunity. And, at the end of the day, we're all in this for the students because they're what matters to us, to all of us, globally. So thank you for your support and thanks for helping with the project.
Yeah, this is going to be freaking awesome. I'm looking forward to it.
Someday, somebody asked me the other day, like, Anthony, when you're retired, what do you want to do? It's like, first of all, I'm never going to retire. I'm just going to slip into teaching. I just know it's just going to happen. I just want to teach hospitality and I want to talk to kids. That's all I want to do.
Yep.
It's the most rewarding job ever. Let me just tell you. I've been in industry and I came to this and I've told the dean this many times.
Right.
It is the most rewarding job I have ever had.
For me, what I'm realizing, as I've been in this career 30 years, is it's scary when you first start and it's hard and it doesn't get any easier, but it gets a lot less scary. And, showing people doing a little more, going a lot for programs like this, what you're doing right now, this is what builds confidence. And confidence is the machine to success. And so any way I could be involved in this with Glenn, I'd love to be judged. And if you'd like I said, you can throw my name out there and I'd be happy to talk to the winners or the finalists or whatever I can do. But it's really my air. It's what I love doing.
Yeah, and if you have any future competitions where we all get to judge Anthony, let me know about that one too.
Let's go, baby. Let's judge my knot. Okay.
Yeah, that's impeccable. I love it. All right, Arlene, Dean Reynolds, thank you so much for being here today. We really appreciate it, and we will see you in August with the big winners, and we'll keep you guys updated as that competition is going as it proceeds. Thanks again so much for being here. How awesome! I mean, I'm having so much fun doing this show with you, Anthony. We talk to so many freaking cool people. Irene, right?
Hey, and I got
welcome, Sean.
Who's here?
Thanks to us for the support on that.
And how cool am I? I have the director of tourism of Jamaica's cell number, so now he'll be hearing from me when I want to go to Jamaica.
Well, how cool am I? I got my local Chinese place on speed dial. So hey,
So this is kind of, I'm going to summarize this show, which typically I don't usually do, but I'm going to summarize it.
I love it.
Travel's happening whether we like it or not, right? Some places are ready, some places aren't ready. I think it's really important for different countries, different areas to come on this show and tell us what you're doing, because I am now going to make my trip down to Jamaica because I feel like it's safe. You get off the plane, you get tested. Now, in this country, if you test some people, they're going to sue you or blow your house up because they don't want to be tested. I want to be tested. I want to go to Jamaica, and I want to know that everybody's feeling safe. So we're in a really weird position right now because everything's opening up, but we're spiking because we're not controlling the areas. The areas that are opening up that are being controlled aren't spiking. So that's one thing. Second is when you have someone like Minister White in charge, you really get a sense of confidence. And also that our hospitality programs are doing things to inspire hospitality students, because this is not only tough for college students, this is tough for some specific college students, hospitality being one of them. Because I just called a friend of mine that I mentioned to you yesterday. We want to go to a hotel and show their opening, and he's been laid off, and he's done. He doesn't work there anymore. And he was a very, very senior person. So everyone I talk to when I call, I would say 97% of all my friends that are in high-level positions have been laid off, and probably permanently.
Right.
So whether it be having the right information from the tourism board, whether it be having right information from the people that are running the schools and getting people motivated, that's what's going to get us back, because this is not going to be over by June 1st. Oh, are we past June 1st? Oh, we are. It's not going to be over by October 1st. Probably won't be over by January 1st. So what he said, what I thought was absolutely inspiring, was he said in his country, we are going to open and we are going to be managing COVID for the long term. He said the words. No one said those words. No one's been saying those words, that we're going to be managing this and we're going to have to live with it. We can't shut down and not destroy our economy, but we are going to have a very strong advisory board, and we're going to have a very strong reaction to doing it the right way.
Yeah. Yeah, that's absolutely right. What a great way to sum it up. I mean, I can't do any better. So I think the only thing left to say, what?
Of course you couldn't. You
Yeah,
don't
no, there's
say
not
that.
even a point, Anthony.
So
I'm
what's
not even
going
gonna,
on
I'm
with
gonna
your,
try.
tell me about what's going on with your thing.
Yeah, so tomorrow, big day, Hotel Reboot. Check us out at hotelreboot.com. Real practical information you can implement into your businesses right away. Our first show, which is just an hour, making it much more like a TV show than a webinar. It's all about redesign and redevelop, how to make sure that your property is set for now as well as the long term, taking into consideration a lot of the issues that we've talked about with great insights. Yes, Anthony.
And the kids on TikTok aren't getting involved with your trying to block your participation, are they?
No, they are not trying to block my participation, but I am going to do my own TikTok hackathon. So maybe we could do music related videos on how to improve the hospitality industry. So maybe that'll be my next big idea, stealing Conrad Hilton School's idea and combining it with what you just said.
You're a
That.
genius.
Yeah,
Okay,
I know.
Go to
Hospitality Success.
hospitalitysuccess.com. Check us out. Set up for an appointment to talk to our company, hospitalitysuccess.com. If you're having problems with your hotel, if you're challenged with your hotel at any level, from going to a brand, not going to a brand, to how you open up safely, check us out, hospitalitysuccess.com. And I'll have a surprise for you probably in about 2 weeks. We're coming out with something.
No.
So you're not the only one that has surprises. And Daniel, our best friend. Thanks, Jeff. You are the man. I thought Glenn was the man, but okay, Jeff, you're the man. All right,
You know.
So thank you very much, my friend, and see you later.
Great. Thanks, guys. Have so much. We really appreciate you being here. Remember, you've got one life, so blaze on and
Irie.
Irie.